Hello, I'm Mike Gambardella, and welcome into the newest episode of Pat's Latest. New England finally has its multi-million-dollar wide receiver. Could there be another one on the horizon? Tom Brady talks about his split from Bill Belichick and what's going on with the latest in the NFL draft. Before we get into everything, make sure you go down and subscribe for our channel. Give us a like if you like what you hear, and go down and get into our comments and let us know what the Patriots' next moves should be, especially before the NFL draft. And there you have it, folks. It took a while, but the New England Patriots have officially signed Stefon Diggs to a multi-year contract. The Patriots have long sought after a top wide receiver option, and after bringing in Diggs to New England last week, it is official. A 3-year, $69 million contract to the former Buffalo Bill and Minnesota Viking, and most recently Houston Texan. Yes, Diggs is coming off an ACL injury, but came early enough in last season that reports are now coming out that he may actually be ready to compete week one and be ready and able to train through training camp and potentially as soon as OTAs. Now, that may be wishful thinking for someone who is 31 years old, but all reports seem to indicate that Diggs should be ready for week one. And even if he's not, it looks like he will avoid the PUP list and that first 4 weeks missing the season. Again, huge news for the Patriots, especially for Drake May to now have a number one option. Now, granted, Stefon Diggs last year was a number two option behind Nico Collins, but for the Patriots, and right now, he absolutely is number one option in the wide receiver core. And great news for a young wide receiver core who can learn from Diggs. Yes, there has been the off-field and locker room drama surrounding him, as we have seen with many high-profile wide receivers as well. All reports also indicate that Diggs works harder than everybody, that he is, no doubt about it, fully invested in being able to compete at a high level. Now, if other teammates and coaches are seemingly not able to keep up with Diggs, things could change. This is where the contract comes into play. While it is a 3-year deal and $69 million, there is only $26 million in guaranteed money. That means this could essentially be a 1-year, $26 million option should the Patriots choose to cut bait. That would line up with what the Patriots offered. There's reports that it was almost $30 million they were ready to offer per year to someone like Chris Godwin, who is also coming off a debilitating injury, granted a little bit younger, but in the same vein. So again, the Patriots perhaps had to pay a little extra to go out and get a high profile, all pro level wide receiver, but in the end, they ended up getting it done. And if you were still wondering, is Diggs in that echelon? In the past 10 years in the NFL, there are 3 wide receivers that have 850 receptions, 10,000 receiving yards, and 70 plus touchdowns. That list: Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Stefon Diggs, end of list. Again, a big win for the Patriots. And again, not having to give up draft assets. Another wrinkle to this is that there are reports that DK Metcalf, the Patriots actually were in on him. They had conversations and tried trading for him before he inevitably ended up in Pittsburgh. DK, however, like he had said in previous interviews, was not interested in the Patriots. In the end, I think this works out better for New England because they get a top wide receiver without having to give up the draft assets. And while the case can be made that DK Metcalf is a better wide receiver at this point in their respective careers, to keep that draft capital and only have to give up the money aspect of free agency, this is an all-around win for the Patriots. There absolutely could be another wrinkle that is coming the Patriots' way as well. Brandon Aiyuk's name, the disgruntled 49ers wide receiver, who also is coming off an injury and had a down year, could again be available for trade. The reason why this becomes a potential yet again is because of the dates on the money for bonuses in Brandon Aiyuk's contract. On April 1st, he has 2 bonus options, one for the 2025 season and one for the 2026 season that also vests. Both of those are fully guaranteed of the option bonus of $22 million in 2025 and 24, actually really 25 at 24.9 for 2026. That means that the San Francisco 49ers could be on the hook for nearly $50 million for Brandon Aiyuk. If they have decided that they do not want to pay that, they could be willing to strike a deal and do it at a cheaper price in order to move on from those salary cap implications. Now, it is yet to be seen if the Patriots are willing again to give up those draft capital assets. But again, for Brandon Aiyuk, who is younger, and again, that down year and coming off an injury, but someone who is extremely talented, and being able to say, look, take the pressure off Stefon Diggs as well and pair him with another top flight receiver, this could be another splash move for the Patriots. Respectfully, I do not think this will happen, but it does become something that is more feasible in the next week because San Francisco now has a reason to pull the trigger on a deal and potentially take less in order to open up their free agent cap space. That is becoming a problem, and we've seen them moved on from several high-profile players this offseason, including Deebo Samuel, because they now have to pay Brock Purdy, which they had been lucky enough to be able to pay Mr. Irrelevant on that rookie scale for the past few years. Again, I do not think the Patriots will be in on this, but if Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel potentially like a deal and feel comfortable both giving up, say, a third and fifth round pick and take on the salary cap for Brandon Aiyuk, this could be something that could work out for the Patriots, even if it is a little less likely that it could happen. Another one coming out on Tuesday is Tom Brady talking in the media about the split from the Patriots and specifically from Bill Belichick. His comments fairly enlightening while more reinforcing what we all thought. The direct quote from Brady: "For me, it was a creeping decision that lived passively in the back of my mind for 2 to 3 years until March of 2020, when a whirlwind of a few days made me realize that a decision was coming sooner rather than later." Again, Brady admitting that for the last couple of years while in New England, he often thought that there could be a breakup between him and the Pats, or at least for him and Belichick. They had grown apart over the years. And again, staying with the same coach for 20 years, a coach's quote-unquote shtick can get old, especially someone like Belichick that has a very specific way of doing things. Brady went on to say the reality was after 20 years together, a natural tension had developed between where Coach Belichick and I were headed in our careers and where the Patriots were moving as a franchise. It was the kind of tension that could only be resolved by some kind of split or one of us reassessing our priorities. That pretty much says Brady had to accept that things were not going to change under Belichick, or Belichick was going to have to change to allow Tom Brady to do certain things. Clearly, none of those were going to happen. And at the end of the day, Brady really spelled out, he made a list of things that he wanted out of the next couple of years of his career and the things that Tampa Bay had offered, whether that be top flight talent at the wide receiver position, coaching with Bruce Arians at the time, as well as the weather playing in Tampa Bay versus New England. In the end, we know how that worked out. And in the end, Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl. So for him, perhaps the right decision. For New England fans, not so much, and tougher to watch the GOAT add to his legacy with another team. But again, fairly enlightening comments from the greatest of all time on why his time in New England finally did come to an end. We wrap up today looking at the NFL draft and how the quarterback class is really impacting what is going on with the Patriots at the number 4 pick. Cam Ward, after his pro day, seemingly solidifying his spot to be the number 1 overall draft pick to the Tennessee Titans, who even after drafting Will Levis 2 years ago in the 2nd round, appear ready to move on and take a top-flight signal caller. Ward, who went from Incarnate Word, Washington State, and now Miami, continuing to progress and just build astronomical numbers at the college level and becoming a Heisman finalist, showing why he is deserving of that top spot. Again, we've talked about having the number 4 pick in the NFL draft and wanting to see 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3 picks in order to push either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter down to the 4th pick, so the Patriots could really come away with objectively one of the top 2 players in the draft, when accounting for quarterback inflation. The way this happens is Shedeur Sanders going at 2 or 3. Again, the Cleveland Browns should be after a quarterback, but there are questions whether Deion Sanders would pull rank and try and keep them from drafting his son. Again, Cleveland could also try and pair and take Abdul Carter and say, we're just going to build out the defense and we'll figure out the quarterback position either later in the draft or somewhere else and build it out that way. Then the New York Giants would have a big decision at 3. On Tuesday, they added to their quarterback room by also signing Russell Wilson after just days since they signed Jameis Winston. They've gone and built out their quarterback room. That doesn't preclude them from taking Shedeur Sanders, but it also allows them to say we could take the best available, which potentially could be Travis Hunter at that spot, and then either trade back in at, say, 6 or 7 to then take Shedeur Sanders, or wait till later in the first round to take someone like Jackson Dart. In that scenario, the Patriots could be in trouble at number 4, as a lot of those QB needy teams may want to wait till that 6 or 7 spot to actually trade in, then give up the premium at 4 to trade into that spot. Then the big question becomes, what do the Patriots do and who do they take when Hunter and Carter are off the board and you're sitting there with a big hole? Now, whether it's Will Campbell at the tackle spot, Membu from Mizzou seemingly jumping up a lot as a big-time prospect, but one that only played right tackle in college, does not have any left tackle experience. So again, whether it's short arms for Campbell or inexperience for Membu, there are a lot of questions at that spot if they go tackle. Again, Tet McMillan could be a good selection to build out that wide receiver room, but in most people's mock drafts, McMillan is going more towards that 10 to 15 range and could be a stretch. And since both Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel have continued to say that they will draft the best available at that spot, would seemingly not go that route. Some interesting ones to look at: Aston Jeanty, the running back from Boise State, who could be the best prospect, and if the Patriots are seriously looking at running back and trying to help Drake May, that could be an option, while a surprising one at the very least. Additionally, Mason Graham, the interior defensive lineman, could be a safe pick as someone that would fit Mike Vrabel's scheme as well. Again, we're going to see a lot of different ups and downs as we get into draft season, now just a month away, and a lot of different scenarios that will continue to play out until both Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans decide to show their hand. The past few years, there has not been a team that has come out and say this is who we're drafting and trying to get the contracts ironed out beforehand, so don't expect that to happen as well and keep us guessing all the way up to draft night Thursday. Again, we'll continue to have the latest for you on the New England Patriots. Again, go down and subscribe for our channel. Get in the comments and let us know what you think of Stefon Diggs signing and if there's more to come for the wide receiver room. Give us a like if you like what you hear, and make sure you go back and check out our older videos to get up to speed on everything going on with your New England Patriots. Fight on, Foxborough.